3 men, 1 room. Nobody laughed for long. That's the part they always leave out when they tell this story. They talk about the speed. They talk about the silence that followed. They talk about the way 3 undefeated champions stood on that stage, combined records totaling 134 consecutive victories, a combined weight of 672 pounds, decades of medals and trophies and broken opponents between them. And they talk about what happened 7 seconds after they made the last mistake of their undefeated careers. But nobody talks about the laughter that filled the room before the silence, the laughter that made it worse, the laughter that 3 men would spend the rest of their lives trying to forget. This is that story. Tokyo, Japan, the Kodokan Judo Hall, April 7th, 1967, a Tuesday afternoon, 2:20 p.m. The air smells like wood polish and old sweat, the kind of smell that has been soaking into the walls for decades, the kind of smell that means serious business. This is not a tournament. There are no spectators, no television cameras, no officials with scorecards. This is a private gathering. Closed doors, invitation only. 43 of the most respected martial artists in Japan have been brought together at the request of 3 men who want to make a point. 43 witnesses. That's how confident the 3 men are. They want witnesses. They want people to watch. They want people to remember. On the floor, sitting cross-legged among the observers, is a young Chinese man in a plain black training uniform. No patches, no rank insignia, no belt that means anything to this room. He arrived quietly, 20 minutes earlier, escorted by a Japanese contact who vouched for him. Most of the 43 people in this room don't know his name. A handful do. Of those handful, 2 immediately leaned over to their neighbours and whispered something urgent. The neighbours looked at the man in black. Then they looked at the 3 men on the stage. Then they looked back at the man in black. And then they went very, very still. His name is Bruce Lee. He is 26 years old. He weighs 138 pounds. He is 5 feet 7 inches tall. He is sitting with his hands resting on his knees, his back straight, his expression completely unreadable. He is not warming up. He is not stretching. He is not performing for the room. He is simply waiting, the way a man waits who already knows how something ends. The 3 men on the stage do not know his name. They are about to find out. But first, they are going to laugh. And the room is going to laugh with them. And for exactly 41 seconds, they are going to feel like the most powerful men in the world. Understand what 3 undefeated champions looks like in one room. Not on paper, not in a record book. In person. Standing together, deliberately, side by side, because they want you to feel it. The first man is Kenji Yamamoto. Not a name you will find in most history books, but in Japanese martial arts circles in 1967, that name means something specific. It means danger. Yamamoto is 31 years old, 6 feet even, 224 pounds of judo and jiu-jitsu, built over 25 years of daily training. He began on the mat at age 6, the son of a judo instructor, the grandson of a judo instructor. It is not something he does, it is something he is. His competitive record stands at 41 consecutive victories, 0 defeats. He has thrown men twice his size. He has submitted black belts who had been training longer than he has been alive. His specialty is koshiwaza, hip throws, executed with a precision so clean that instructors use footage of his technique as a teaching tool. He carries himself the way men carry themselves when they have never been on the losing side of anything. Shoulders back, chin level, eyes that assess, never ask. The second man is Robert the Wall Duchamp, American, former heavyweight wrestling champion, converted to full contact karate at age 24 after a coach told him his takedowns were too violent for amateur wrestling competition. He took that as a compliment. Duchamp is 29 years old, 6 feet 3 inches, 237 pounds. His karate record is 52 consecutive victories. He has never been knocked down in competition, not once. His nickname is not marketing, it is testimony. Opponents describe hitting him as hitting a structure, something that absorbs force and gives nothing back. He trained under 3 different Kyokushin masters and holds a 3rd-degree black belt. His punching power has been measured. The numbers are not comfortable reading. The third man is Hiroshi Tanaka, the quietest of the three, which makes him the most dangerous. Tanaka is 34 years old, 5 feet 11, 211 pounds. His background is Shotokan karate and kendo, a combination that has made him something genuinely unusual. A man equally comfortable striking at distance and destroying at close range. His record is 41 consecutive victories across 3 different combat disciplines. He has fought in 3 countries. He has never lost. He rarely speaks before a demonstration. He believes that what he does requires no introduction. He is, in this, not wrong. Together, their combined record is 134 victories, 0 defeats, a combined 74 years of training between them. The 3 of them chose this room, this day, this audience deliberately. They had heard the rumors spreading through martial arts circles about a Chinese man in America, about demonstrations that defied explanation, about something called Jeet Kune Do. They wanted to address those rumors directly. They had sent a message. The man in black had answered it. That was their first mistake. The message had been delivered 8 days earlier. Not a letter, not a phone call, a visit. 2 of Yamamoto's students had appeared at the Junfan Gung Fu Institute in Los Angeles on a Monday morning before classes began. They were polite. They bowed correctly. They removed their shoes at the door. And then they delivered, word for word, a message from 3 men in Tokyo who had a proposal, a private gathering, a closed demonstration, an opportunity, they called it, an opportunity for Bruce Lee to show what his system could do against real martial artists, against champions, against men who had spent their lives proving that what they did was the most effective fighting system on earth. The students waited for a response. Bruce read the message twice, folded it, set it down on his desk. He asked the students one question. Will there be witnesses? They said yes, 40 or more. Senior martial artists, respected instructors, men whose opinion carries weight in Japan and beyond. Bruce nodded once. Tell them I'll be there. The students bowed and left. Dan Inosanto, standing in the doorway of the training room, watched them go. He looked at Bruce. Bruce was already reading something else, like the meeting had already happened and he was thinking about something more interesting. What the message didn't say, what the students didn't deliver out loud, but what everyone in the room understood perfectly, was the real meaning underneath the polite language. The real message was this: stop. Stop what you're saying about traditional martial arts. Stop demonstrating in public. Stop telling people that classical styles have limitations. Stop building a following around an idea that threatens everything these men have built their lives on. A challenge dressed in courtesy is still a challenge, and this one had the weight of 134 victories behind it, because the provocation hadn't started with a message. It had started months before. Word had been spreading. Bruce Lee had been giving demonstrations, private ones, semi-public ones, showing up at tournaments, at seminars, at gatherings, and doing things that made people deeply uncomfortable. Not uncomfortable because the things were wrong, uncomfortable because they appeared to be right. He had demonstrated on a Shotokan black belt in San Francisco, and the black belt hadn't been able to touch him. He had explained, calmly and publicly, that classical stances were designed for a world that no longer existed. That chambering a punch wastes time a real fight will not give you. That kata trains pattern, and pattern makes you predictable, and predictable gets you hurt. The 3 champions had heard all of it. They weren't angry. Anger would have been easier to ignore. They were certain that this man was spreading something false, certain that their records, their decades, their combined weight of evidence was the answer. Certain that one room, one afternoon, 43 witnesses would end the conversation permanently. They prepared for 3 weeks. Bruce Lee got on a plane. The room goes quiet when Yamamoto speaks. He doesn't need a microphone. His voice carries the way voices carry when they have spent decades commanding training halls. He addresses the 43 observers first. Thanks them for coming. Explains the purpose of the gathering. His Japanese is precise, formal, the language of men who take themselves seriously. He speaks about tradition, about lineage, about the responsibility that serious martial artists have to protect the integrity of their art from those who would dilute it, commercialize it, turn it into entertainment. He is measured. He is respectful. He is also absolutely, completely certain that he is right. Then he looks at Bruce Lee. He switches to English. Deliberately. So everyone understands exactly what is being said. He says, "We have asked you here today because your name has been attached to certain claims. Claims that traditional martial arts are limited. Claims that classical training produces fighters who cannot function in real combat. Claims that your system, this Jeet Kune Do, represents something superior to what has been built and refined and tested over centuries. We would like you to demonstrate these claims, here, now, against us." He pauses. Duchamp and Tanaka stand slightly behind him and to either side, perfectly placed, a wall of credentials and certainty. "We will give you every opportunity to show us what you do. We are not here to embarrass you. We are here to have a conversation that the martial arts community needs to have." He almost means it. Almost. But underneath the diplomacy is something harder. Something that has already decided the outcome. Something that chose 43 witnesses because it was expecting a public correction. The room waits. 43 experienced martial artists. Men who have spent their lives in training halls. Men who understand exactly what this moment is. Most of them are watching Bruce Lee, trying to read him, trying to find the nervousness that should be there. 3 undefeated champions. A formal challenge. A room full of people who will remember and report everything they see. Any reasonable man would be calculating an exit. A graceful way to reframe the situation. A diplomatic retreat dressed as intellectual discussion. Bruce Lee stands up. Not quickly. Not dramatically. The way a man stands up from a chair when he has finished thinking about something and is ready to act. He straightens his black uniform. He looks at Yamamoto, then at Duchamp, then at Tanaka. Not assessing, not nervous. The way you look at something you already understand completely. He says 7 words. "Tell me how you want to start." Not, "I accept your challenge." Not, "I'll show you what I can do." Not a speech, not a philosophy, not a declaration. 7 words that contain everything. That communicate without aggression, without performance, without a single wasted syllable. That the man standing in front of them is not afraid. Has never been afraid. Will not be afraid. The room feels it before it understands it. Something has shifted already. This is what 43 people see when Bruce Lee walks to the center of the floor. They see a young man, 26 years old, Chinese, 5 feet 7 inches tall, 138 pounds in a plain black uniform with nothing on it. No patches, no rank insignia, nothing that tells this room who he is or what he has done. He looks, to the uninitiated eye, like someone who wandered into the wrong building, like a student who showed up to the wrong class, like a man who perhaps didn't fully understand what he agreed to when he answered that message 8 days ago. Now look at what he is standing across from. Yamamoto is warming up 10 feet away. His movements are crisp, deliberate, each one a sentence in a language he has been speaking for 25 years. His hip throws flow through the air like machinery, precise, inevitable. The sound of his GI snapping with each technique is sharp enough to make the observers flinch slightly. He weighs 86 pounds more than Bruce Lee. He has been training for 9 years longer than Bruce Lee has been alive in martial arts. He holds rank that took decades to earn. Duchamp is rolling his neck, shoulders, moving through a series of Kyokushin striking combinations that send small shockwaves through the air. His knuckles are visibly calloused from years of Makiwara training. The floor seems to register his footwork differently than it registers everyone else's. He weighs 99 pounds more than Bruce Lee. 99 pounds. He has never been knocked down. The wall. In this room, in this light, against this opponent, that nickname feels less like marketing and more like geology. Tanaka stands still, watching Bruce, not warming up, not performing, just watching. This is the one that the experienced observers are most concerned about. Stillness before violence is its own kind of warning. Tanaka has fought in 3 countries. He has never lost. He is watching Bruce Lee the way a man watches something he is trying to categorize, trying to find the file for, and finding nothing familiar. The 43 observers are doing mathematics they can't stop themselves from doing. size differential, experience differential, numbers differential. The math keeps producing the same answer, and the answer is uncomfortable to look at directly. Two of the observers who recognized Bruce's name when he arrived are sitting very still now. They know something the room doesn't. They have seen what Bruce Lee can do in person, or know men who have. They are not doing the same mathematics as everyone else. They are watching Yamamoto, Duchamp, and Tanaka with something that looks to the people sitting next to them almost like concern. But it isn't concern for Bruce Lee. In the corner of the room, one senior instructor leans to his colleague and whispers. The small one doesn't look like much. His colleague says nothing. He has seen enough training halls in enough countries to know that the ones who don't look like much are the ones you remember longest. Nobody in the room is neutral anymore. The floor is about to teach 43 people something that no classroom ever could. Yamamoto goes first. This was agreed beforehand. The three champions had discussed the order. Yamamoto first because his judo and jujutsu are the most immediately physical, the most likely to establish control early, to take the small man to the ground where size and weight become the entire conversation. Duchamp second, striking range, overwhelming power. Tanaka third, if needed. They didn't expect to need Tanaka. They were honest with themselves about that. They expected Yamamoto to end it. Yamamoto steps onto the mat. He and Bruce face each other. The distance between them is 8 feet. The room is completely silent. Not performance silence. Real silence. The kind that happens when 43 experienced people simultaneously decide to stop breathing and just watch. Yamamoto moves. His opening is textbook Ippon Seoi Nage, a one-arm shoulder throw, the foundational technique of competitive judo, executed at a level of perfection that would score full points in any tournament on earth. His entry is explosive, his body dropping perfectly under Bruce's center of gravity, his grip seeking Bruce's sleeve and lapel with the automatic accuracy of 10,000 repetitions. His hands close on empty air. Bruce is not where he was. He has moved, not backwards, not sideways in any dramatic evasive motion, but at an angle so slight, so economical, that 43 observers cannot quite agree afterward on exactly what they saw. He didn't jump. He didn't spin. He simply isn't there when Yamamoto's hands arrive, in the same way that water isn't where you reach for it. Yamamoto resets. No frustration yet. One technique proves nothing. He has fought slippery opponents before. He adjusts, attacks again. This time a body grab. Both arms seeking to encircle Bruce's waist to initiate a Koshi Guruma, a hip wheel throw, using his 86-pound weight advantage as a simple physical fact that no technique can fully answer. Bruce's hands come up, not to push, not to strike, but to touch. Light contact on both of Yamamoto's forearms at the precise moment of commitment, just enough pressure at just the right angle to redirect the vector of the throw by 3 inches. 3 inches is nothing. 3 inches is everything. Yamamoto's throw completes but finds no center to work with. He steps through, recovers, turns. He is breathing slightly harder. Not from exertion, from something closer to confusion. His techniques are correct. His body is doing exactly what 25 years of training produced. The results are wrong. The small man in black is not responding the way physics suggests he should. He is not blocking, not resisting, not doing anything that Yamamoto has a prepared answer for. He is simply making Yamamoto's techniques arrive somewhere other than where they were sent. The 43 observers are leaning forward now, almost as one, because what they are watching should not be possible and they cannot look away from impossible things. Duchamp watches from the side. His certainty is still intact, but something behind his eyes has shifted, almost imperceptibly, like a door that was open a moment ago and is now very slightly less open than it was. Yamamoto attacks again, and again, and again. Every time Bruce Lee is somewhere else. 4 minutes and 30 seconds in, something changes. Not in Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee has not changed. His breathing is even. His expression is the same unreadable stillness it was when he stood up from his chair. His uniform is barely disturbed. He looks, to the bewildered 43 observers, like a man who arrived at this address, found the right room, and is now simply waiting for the meeting to reach the part he came for. What changes is Yamamoto, not his technique. His technique remains exceptional. 25 years of judo does not disappear under pressure. It is pressure tested. It is built for exactly this kind of moment. But something beneath the technique has shifted. The certainty is gone. That deep structural certainty that has underwritten 41 consecutive victories, that has never once been seriously questioned, that got out of bed this morning completely intact. It is gone. And in the space where it was, something has moved in that Yamamoto does not have a name for yet. He will have a name for it later. Tonight, lying awake, he will find the word. The word is doubt. Bruce feels it. The room feels it. Though most of the 43 cannot yet articulate what they are sensing. The experienced ones can. The two men who recognize Bruce's name when he arrived exchange a glance. Here it comes. Bruce stops moving away. It is the smallest possible change in what he is doing, and it rewrites the entire equation of the room. Where before he was angled, deflecting, redirecting, now he is present, engaged, meeting Yamamoto's energy instead of sliding around it. Yamamoto launches a ko-uchigari, a minor inner reap, a low-sweeping foot technique aimed at taking Bruce's base. Clean entry, correct timing, tournament-winning execution. Bruce's weight shifts, 1 inch. His foot moves, not away from the technique, into it, at the precise angle that turns Yamamoto's reap against itself, that uses the momentum of 224 pounds of committed judo master as a resource, rather than a problem. Yamamoto doesn't fall. Bruce isn't trying to throw him. He is showing him something. Showing him that the force he brought can be redirected by someone who understands where force lives and how it travels. Yamamoto feels it in his hips, in the soles of his feet, the physical sensation of his own technique being understood more deeply than he understood it himself. He steps back. He looks at Bruce Lee for the first time without the filter of certainty. What he sees there does not reassure him. Now Duchamp steps forward. This was the plan. Fresh man, different system, overwhelming power. Reset the situation. Duchamp is not confused by what he just watched. He is not a judo man. He is a striker. What worked for Yamamoto has nothing to do with what he is about to do. He is wrong about this. He just doesn't know it yet. Duchamp sets his feet, rolls his shoulders. The floor seems to consider his weight for a moment. He attacks, and the room holds its breath for the last time before everything breaks open. Duchamp throws the first punch, and the room understands immediately that this is different. Not different because it is better than what Yamamoto did. Different because it is a completely different language. Where Yamamoto spoke in grips and levers, and the geometry of throwing, Duchamp speaks in impact. Raw, direct, physically overwhelming impact. His first strike is a right hand, full commitment, Kyokushin straight punch, 237 pounds of undefeated champion behind it, aimed at Bruce Lee's center with the kind of accuracy that 52 consecutive victories produces. The sound of it cutting the air is enough to make two observers in the front row involuntarily lean back. Bruce slips it. Inside. Not outside, inside, moving toward Duchamp's center line instead of away from it, occupying the space that the punch just vacated. The space that is now behind Duchamp's extended arm. The space where Duchamp has no power and no answer. His left hand touches Duchamp's punching arm at the elbow. His right hand opens, palm forward, and stops 1 inch from Duchamp's jaw. 1 inch. Duchamp freezes. The room freezes. This is the moment. Right here. This is the 7 seconds that 43 people will carry with them for the rest of their lives and describe to students and colleagues and anyone who will listen for decades afterward. Not because of what happened, because of what didn't happen, because of that 1 inch of air between Bruce Lee's open palm and Robert Duchamp's jaw, because of what that 1 inch means, because everyone in the room, every single trained martial artist present, understands in their body before their mind catches up, that the decision not to close that inch was a choice, that closing it would have required nothing, that the only thing standing between Duchamp's undefeated record and the floor is the deliberate, conscious, absolute restraint of the man in front of him. Bruce holds it. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 seconds of silence so complete that the sound of the building itself seems to disappear. No shuffling, no breathing, No creak of the wooden floor. 43 people suspended in the understanding of what they are witnessing. Yamamoto standing to the side, his certainty already gone, watching that 1 inch of air with an expression that will take him weeks to fully process. Tanaka, who has not moved from his position, who was supposed to be the third, the finisher, the insurance policy, standing completely still with his hands at his sides, and something on his face that the people nearest to him will later describe simply as recognition. Bruce steps back, lowers his hand, gives Duchamp space. Duchamp doesn't move immediately. He stands where he is for a moment, in the place where the punch ended, in the place where everything he built his identity on just got quietly, completely, irrevocably reordered. He breathes out slowly, a long, steady exhale that contains more information than most speeches. Tanaka looks at the floor, then he looks at Bruce Lee. Then he does something that nobody in the room expected. Something that, in its own way, lands harder than any technique thrown that afternoon. He bows. The bow changes everything, not because it is dramatic, because it is genuine. Tanaka is 34 years old. He has spent 28 of those years on training floors exactly like this one. He has bowed thousands of times, to instructors, to opponents, before matches, after matches, at the beginning of every training session and the end of every training session. Bowing is the punctuation of a martial artist's life. But this bow is different, and every person in the room feels the difference. This is not ritual. This is recognition. This is a man who has devoted his entire existence to understanding combat, standing in front of something that has just expanded, that understanding beyond the borders he thought were the edges of the map. Bruce Lee returns the bow. The room exhales. Yamamoto sits down on the mat, not because he is told to, because his legs make a decision his pride hasn't quite agreed to yet. He sits cross-legged, the way serious students sit, the way people sit when they are done performing and ready to learn. Duchamp stands for another moment, then moves to the edge of the mat and sits. The wall. Sitting on the floor of a Tokyo training hall looking at a 138-pound man in a plain black uniform with an expression that has had every layer of arrogance cleaned off it. Bruce speaks. He does not pace. He does not perform. He stands where he is and speaks the way men speak when they are not trying to convince anyone of anything, because they don't need to. His Japanese is limited, so he speaks English, and one of the observers translates in a low voice for those who need it. But most of the room speaks enough English, and the ones who don't find that some things translate without language. He says, "Your techniques are not wrong. All three of you have built something extraordinary. Yamamoto, your judo is among the finest I have encountered. Duchamp, your power and your accuracy are real. Tanaka, your stillness before movement is a quality most people train for 20 years without finding." He pauses. The room is so quiet the words seem to stay in the air after he says them. But a system is a fence, he continues. It defines the territory inside it with great precision. It also defines everything outside it as somewhere you cannot go. Real combat has no fence. A real opponent will not stay inside your territory. He will find the edge of your map and live there. And when he does, your techniques, your beautiful, correct, perfectly executed techniques, will arrive exactly where you sent them and find nobody home. He demonstrates on a volunteer. Economy of motion, centerline theory, the straight blast, Chisao. Each principle illustrated once cleanly without repetition, the way a man teaches who respects the intelligence of his students. He explains Jeet Kune Do, not a style, not a system, the absence of system as the highest system, using no way as way, having no limitation as limitation, the fence removed entirely. The 43 observers are not moving. Some are taking mental notes with the intensity of men who know they are sitting in a moment they will measure other moments against for the rest of their lives. Yamamoto from the floor asks one question. How do you learn to see the telegraph before the technique launches? Bruce looks at him for a moment. Then he says, you stop looking at what people do and start feeling what they are about to do. You train sensitivity until it becomes faster than thought. You get out of your own way. Yamamoto nods slowly. Something is settling in him. The long, uncomfortable process of a great mind revising a great certainty. It will take months. It has started now.